computer. Come on. Yep. And I see, got one more. Okay, cool. Man, I'm so excited. So excited. Like I say, I was sharing stuff with Mark. A couple of things that very exciting for me that I was in Wilmington, North Carolina over the weekend, and oh my goodness, it was insane, brutal hot. 90, I think it was 98 degrees, and it got up to 62% humidity. Uh, and I'm like, man, all you people that live out here, all you guys in Greenville, man, I just smiled and went, holy cow, that's nuts. Of course, before I flew out Friday, Salt Lake was 112. And you go, yeah, but it's only 95 out there. Well, no, it's so different, right? It's so different the way our country is. Wet,
Humidity.
humid, all that kind of stuff, right? Dry, all that, man, just nuts. Anyway, what got me excited is I had a couple of breakthroughs, and that's what I'm going to share tonight. Got a headache, so I got to get my glasses back on tonight as I go. But man, there's just some really cool things. And then I had um, oh no, I like that, Rich. That is so true. Dry heat until the wind blows. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's crazy. Um, and Patty, I'm going to share this. Okay, she shared with me before we got on the call, this right here is more to me one of the greatest success stories, even above stuff that I've had, and it just absolutely warms my soul. Everything. She started a little program, right? Etsy and that kind of stuff, right? And so excited about one cell. Then we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and there was 5 cells. And she gets on today and she has 75 cells, 74, 75 cells. And that right there, oh my gosh. It just, yeah, you can just tell how excited I am of this. It's like 1,574, it's on the move. It's on the move. And what happens with that is it creates it creates a confirmation to our belief because we believed we could do it, but we just never thought it would happen. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Then all of a sudden we start seeing it happen and we sit back and go, oh, yeah, it does work. Well, that's the same as the operating system, where we base everything on what we have done in the past, like we talked about a little last week. And we keep looking at, well, I'm trying something new. I'm trying something new. I'm trying something new. And it's not working. It's not working. Then all of a sudden something does. Oh, well, maybe I'll believe a little bit more. And then it works a little better. Oh, I'll believe a little bit more. And it starts working. And it's like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden it changes from belief to knowledge. So let me back it up because this is how I was taught years ago with faith, that you have faith in things and then you see some things and you have a little more belief, so a little less faith. Not that you're getting rid of faith, but you're replacing that with belief. And then as it goes, now you're replacing the belief with knowledge. And so that's the same thing that we're working on here. This Monday night is not to motivate you, right? And I don't want you coming here dreaming bigger and all that kind of stuff. I want you changing. I want you pulling out of the things that there's things that I've got to do to identify, to change, to install, to get in a position that it's now confidence. And I'm going to go this way tonight. And I got a little idea. That's why I was excited with Mark, because I was sharing with him the direction. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit to you. If you handed me your calendar, right, your scheduling, I don't know what you use, a lot of a lot who understand technology use the online and so forth. I am still old school. I have the day at a time planner. I'm still old school, and I will stay old school because if I am unable to pull something open on my phone, that frustrates me. Right? It's like when I go to check into a flight, they go, "Do you want printed tickets?" "Yes, please." And my wife goes, "Why don't you just use your phone?" No, no, because if the Wi-Fi goes out, if this, that, we'll put it in your pictures, right? Do a screenshot and hold it in your pictures. Yeah, but what if I can't get my phone up? I got paper. I got paper right here in my hand, right? So I'm still old school on it. But here's where I go. If you handed me your calendar, if I was sitting next to you, I could probably tell you more about the operating system you're running than you could sit and tell me in an hour about you. Just let me see what you're doing. Just let me see what you're doing. Because if I've got you and you're telling me that, um, man, I want to do all of this. I want to do all of this, and this is what my dreams are and where I'm going and so forth. I'd tell you right now off of that, I could tell what you protect, what you postpone, what constantly gets interrupted by other people, what never gets scheduled, where you push your energy, where your attention leaks, all that kind of stuff. It's all right there on your schedule. And because I promise it that it never lies. It never lies. Franklin Covey years ago created, I don't know how many of you came through those days of the Franklin Covey day planner, right? And you had this small 3-ring binder, and you had your A's and your B's and your C's, and then it was their 1, 2, 3, A1, 2, 3, and it was all your checklist, right? Um, man, that didn't work for me because I was more concerned of how do I rank this an A, a B, a C versus getting it done. So I got rid of that and went back to the day planner, right? But overall, these 20, 30 years, I have had conversations with people that want stronger marriages, that want better health, financial freedom, closer relationships, right? Any of that kind of stuff that they want to do, uh, but their calendar always told a different story. Always told a different story. And it's not that the calendar, if you will, was criticizing them, right? It wasn't exposing them. And I wouldn't be sitting with you and exposing you for that. But it tells me the operating system you're running. So if you tell me you want to write a new book, okay, and then I notice on your day planner or on your calendar that you do not have any writing time or research time blocked out, then your book is a fantasy, right? That, Patty, that's why I got so or am so excited of the growth that has happened with your new business because your operating system is telling me that it's working because you're taking the time to create, to post, to you were talking about it, pin this versus having somebody else do it. I'm creating the algorithm. I'm putting that back and forth. You just told me in those few minutes how the new operating system is working or how you've incorporated a new operating system for yourself. That is massive, massive, because now it's happening, right? It's happening. I remember a story years ago. I don't know when the story was, but I remember hearing it years ago that grandfather was turning over a new or his company over to his grandson. And in that process, the grandfather left him for a couple of weeks and then came back and said, "Okay, how are things going?" And the grandson said, "Oh, it's fantastic. I have a new desk. I've got the office all decorated. We got the new lights. We got the plants. We got the chairs." The grandfather says, "How many sales have you made?" And he said, "Well, we got the new desk. We got the new chairs. We got the new plants. How many sales have you made?" And it came down to the thought pattern of The important activities to move you forward are those we tend not to focus on. We tend to focus on just activities, right? And so it's not the to-do list that you're looking at. It's I don't want to do list that you avoid, right? I get home from the weekend, and everybody has that, what is it? They call it a honey-do list, right? And so you always have that. Yeah, I've got those. That just because I'm a husband and a father and I have a house. To me, those aren't honey-do lists and those aren't to-do lists. That's the responsibility I have by being this side of the partnership. My wife has her responsibilities of that side of the partnership. Do those responsibilities cross over on each other? Absolutely. Right? She's down in Las Vegas now visiting her family or her mom and dad, and there was a massive flood in a city called Beaver, down southern Utah, that it flooded. I don't think it washed out, but flooded over I-15. What is a 6 hour drive turned into a 10 and a half hour drive. So I told her to stay one more night, let him get it cleaned out. Okay. So what did that mean? I had to go get groceries today. Okay. That's not a to-do list. That's an accountability. That's a responsibility, right? But everybody goes, "Oh, I got to take the garbage out. It's on my to-do list." Shut up. That's an accountability. What's on your to-do list is what moves you forward. What moves you forward? Taking out the garbage doesn't move me forward. That's just the right thing to do, right? So you look at it, and let me ask you these questions, right? And you don't have to answer me at all. What is on your calendar right now? If you look at your calendar, and I know some of us have 9 to 5 or whatever our job time is. I'm not talking that. I'm talking on the personal. What is on your tomorrow? What's on your calendar for tomorrow that is intentionally moving your life forward? Think about that. Okay. What appointment exists because someone else decided it belonged? Right? Rich and I were talking. You've got a thing set up where it's got to be with mortgages and lending and all that kind of stuff. And they got back to you and that's set up on X date. Perfect. That's not the one that somebody else decided. You controlled that. They just had that opening. Right? That's still moving your life forward, your business forward. But what are you allowing? What are you allowing on your calendar that somebody else, or you're allowing somebody else to put that on? Right? Because when we don't put anything on there, we let others control that time. And others might be, as I keep calling it for everybody, the dopamine scroll, the TV, the Facebook, the TikTok. It's dopamine, right? It's quick fix on you. So when you don't have things set aside, then that dopamine will take care of it for you. It'll fill in the blanks. Now, how much of that is moving you forward? How much of that is moving you forward, right? What have you been saying that's important for you to get done, but still hasn't found on your calendar, hasn't found its way to your calendar? Zig Ziglar always told me, right? A dream or a wish, sorry, a goal not written is only a wish. Now you can have I've shared this before. My mentor always called them night dreams and day mares versus nightmares and daydreams. You've got these great dreams that happen at night, and then you wake up in the morning and you don't do a damn thing about it. That's a daymare. You go about the same thing over and over and over at the job and so forth, and you bitch and moan because the job sucks or it doesn't, but you don't do anything else about it. Right? That tells me right there what operating system you're running with. And the challenge is because you don't know that there's a different operating system out there. We've never been taught to stop and look at it. We've never been taught, oh, that's just the way we are. No, it's not. It's not the way we are. That's the way you're choosing to continue. You know, the same thing over and over and over again. Somebody asked me when I was out there in Wilmington, do you have a lot of funky clothes? And my answer was, hell yeah, I do. Because I don't like the same look. That's just me. That doesn't have to be everybody. Mark's laughing because he knows me, right? And it's just always like I have all these different shoes and on and on and on because I don't like being the same over and over. That doesn't mean everybody has to be me. That's not what I'm referring to. Okay. It's just something that helps me be me. Because one of the greatest things I heard last week is no, I like the way I dress, right? Because I was talking about sweats and so forth. Okay, that makes you you, be you. But what I want you to think about is the traditional things tell us to set bigger goals. The traditional things tell us to work harder. The traditional things say work smarter, not harder. Well, if I have the same operating system, it doesn't matter how smart I am. It doesn't matter because the results are going to give us the same results because it's the same operating system, right? If you are not protecting your goals, if you are not protecting or managing your time, okay, if you're not in that thought pattern, then the question always comes up, what system is producing your schedule? Laziness? Well, what is that definition? What is the definition of laziness? Because that doesn't mean sitting down to take a break. Hey, I've been busting my ass outside, and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this game. That's not laziness. Now, if I binge watch for the next 6 hours some series, then in my operating system, that's laziness for me. And I will be 100% raising my hand that I've done that with Reacher, and I've done that with a couple of other really cool series. And then all of a sudden, 4 hours later, I'm like, oh shit, I got to go get something done. Yeah, I do that, and I'm 100% with you, right? But you've got to be able to get in and protect those things. And that doesn't mean please, please, please jump and now get caught up, right? Double up on what you didn't or didn't do. Just know, okay, great. I just took and committed that focus, those 4 hours, and I enjoyed that time. But I can't do that every 4 hours, and I can't do that every day. That was a great series. And again, I saw you smiling, Marty. That was one of my favorite series. I love watching that Reacher over and over. It's just really cool. It's fun, right? But just know there's times for that. That's part of the calendar. Your calendar cannot control you. It cannot control your life. The operating system does. The operating system does, right? The in essence, the operating system creates the calendars. The good news is if the calendar is revealing your operating system, it also it reveals where the installation begins. Because, Patty, you could go back and you could look at prior to the first sale, and you could look at maybe it was an idea, maybe it was a dream, maybe it was a concept, but it just never happened. Well, then at some point, you could go to that calendar and go, right there, I fixed something or I created something. And then right there, I posted it. And then, see, that's where it starts the installation. So I could look at the calendar and say, this is what's happening. This is what happened. This is what's moving forward. And then what becomes to play into this is it becomes fun. So when you go from faith to belief to knowledge, now all of a sudden you're in the fun. And then passion kicks in. And then excitement goes, oh, I'm going to do it again. Right. So whether that's, I got one good workout in, right? I had a very balanced dinner. It wasn't just fried. It wasn't, I had a balanced dinner. Okay, cool. I had a great planning session with myself. I spent an hour reading, right? These are the little things that go. Maybe, maybe some of us need to get back into that. Some call it prayer, but maybe some of us need to get back into that one-on-one meditation to where we have that coming to reality meeting, right? And however you do that, you do that. Um, to me, when I get into that, then it becomes, I need to protect it, I need to repeat it, and I need to install it. And we could change it up a little bit. We could say I need to install it. We may not know how in the beginning. But if I go, I need to install it, protect it, and repeat it, that begins creating new directional habits. Right? See, the word I put in there is very, very, very important. Not just habits. It doesn't create new habits. It creates directional habits. That's the difference. Because if I get into working harder, I create a habit. And I create into the direction of, I remember my youngest daughter from my first marriage, her first husband, her ex-husband, he used to always base their income, their budget on overtime, right? So it wasn't just based on his income. He always would base his check on overtime. Well, then one check, the overtime wasn't there. Well, if you're running your budget on this and you're only getting this, then you got a shortage. So his habit was, I'm going to do overtime because it gets me more money. The company said no overtime this week. So now all of a sudden his operating system was all screwed up. Right? It was all screwed up because it was, I'm going to build better. I'm going to work, or excuse me, I'm going to work harder, all that kind of stuff. Well, what if we just slowed that down and you look through just the simplicity of, I want to install a different mode. What if I was able to just generate one successful phone call? What if I was able to finish a book? What if I was able to, my mom's world was knitting and crocheting and quilting. Well, what if I was able to finish one of those? And I would even take this, right? If you've been stuck on, don't spend a whole bunch of time on it. I don't know how to do those Sudokus or whatever that puzzle is where you got to have numbers in every block. It doesn't make sense to me. But there are people that do that, crosswords and that kind of stuff. Maybe you just need to take some time and finish that. That's not binge watching the same thing. It's just finish it, right? I got to get through that. I got to install that, complete that, because it's driving me nuts that I didn't complete that. Because here's where I always go. As I got up this morning, like I said, I got in finally, and Mark knows this well. I finally got into bed about 2:00 this morning. And they're like, all right, 8:00, I gotta get up and get going. My wife's not home. I got two dogs. My 18-year-old, I forgot that she had choreography going on for this year's cheerleading. And so it was the last 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I roll out, it's about 4:45, and I'm going downstairs and I'm hearing some noise going on. I was like, she's always asleep. She doesn't wake up until 9, right? So I go down there and she's all in her, 4-foot high hair and everything's all ready to go and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, what's up? She goes, I got to be out of here. Started at 8:00. I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, great. Gave her a big hug. Walk outside to go get the mail. And I notice I've got to mow the front lawn. And I remember a story going, if you mow the lawn at the same time, you get a very groomed, nice looking mowed lawn. If I take one stripe with the mower each day, at the end of the week, I'll have a full cut lawn. But it's going to look pretty weird having one stripe, then the next day another stripe. And then by the time I get down to the end, the first stripe's growing longer, right? You see where I'm going? Man, you just got to get in. It's like, I can't do all of this. So what if we were to install one thing? What if we looked through one window? And what if we looked at, right? What if we looked at the calendar and said, what 1 hour this week am I going to dedicate to reading, studying, journaling, whatever? 1 hour. What 1 hour am I going to protect the dream that I've been cultivating? That I'm going to spend time on it and look at how am I going to bring that to life? What 15 minutes do I spend that? Right? So look at your calendar. Look at that this week and think through that and say, hey, where am I putting that? Because I promise you, all 100% of us have something on our minds that we have been pushing down the road, kicking the can down the road. I promise you. Maybe it's time we stop. Maybe it's time we take it, the one bite at a time of eating the elephant. But maybe we take that and say, this week, Tuesday at 4 o'clock to 4:30, I'm going to do or install this. Then the second piece, and this is going to be the most critical, honor that 4 to 4:30, honor that time like it is everything that you have. The last moment you have on life on this earth is that moment right there. Dedicate it, protect it, and then complete it. And when it's done, then all of a sudden you get a little more belief. And then we go from 1 to 5 to 74. And that right there is what's going to change everything, I promise you. Because next week I'm going to hit you hard. I'm going to hit you on your bank account. I'm going to hit everything on there, and I'm going to have you identify things, and we're going to take it down to the next piece and what you're doing on this and what you're doing on this. This one is your calendar. Next week's on your bank account. Because most of the time we are raised in a Western culture where money is emotional. And anytime we talk money, everybody gets emotional. Stop. Stop. Right? I share this in my seminars, and anytime I do financial seminars, I always say this: do not let your bank book be the scariest book you ever read. And everybody is so, oh my God, I open it up and there's not enough in there. Okay, well then do something. So we'll talk about that next week. We'll get into that. This week, look at your calendar. Find one thing that you've been kicking down the road. Stop it. Stop kicking it down the road and get it done. Right? Because that's all part of so we're gonna install it, we're gonna protect it, and we're gonna repeat it. We're gonna do that over and over and over again. So we have what? Directional habits. Directional habits. So I'm so grateful for you guys. I'm so thankful that you guys take time. It's an hour out of every week and 30 minutes or whatever we have here, but it's still an hour out of every week that you take from your time to intentionally be here. And I couldn't tell you I'm more honored and greater than thankful for it. So thank you so much. Share it with somebody else. Right. I know it's the summertime. Everybody's got vacations, that kind of stuff. Like Cece jumped in. She said, sorry, we've got this going on tonight. Awesome. This is phenomenal. It's great. If you know others that have not been on here and you know what's going on, holler at them, talk to them, bring them back. But I'm so grateful, guys. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you. Love you guys.